Hi, everyone, and welcome to a new Social Talk session. I'm Maria, marketing expert at Social Insider. Until now, we learned about LinkedIn, community management, and now it is time to learn more about how to plan your content in social from a dear friend, James Tucker. James is a digital content creator, social media consultant, and highly experienced Agile project manager. He has worked with some of the top brand names around the world, including tech giants, sports fashion, banking, and the automobile industry, and was a top performing digital project manager for one of the world's largest digital agencies in London. He is now co-founder of Cruise Creative Media, a social media management agency currently working with international brand personalities in a demanding, fast-paced environment. Hello, James. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. I can't wait to learn more about how to plan my content in social media. So, James, the stage is yours.
Hi guys, and welcome to today's session. I'm going to be talking about how to plan your content in social. I'm James Tucker. I work for a company, a small agency of two, which we'll talk about more later on, called Cruise Creative Media. And you'll probably notice at the bottom, there's an agilemarketingnetwork.com. So please go along and visit that because we've got some wonderful stuff that we're going to be talking about today. And what we've done there is we've collectively, myself and Ageta, which is my partner at the business, we've collectively got together with other marketing members to basically help you, freelancers, small business owners, entrepreneurs, on how to use Agile. That's what we're going to be talking about today, how to use Agile and apply that to your business to deliver that fantastic content you create. So let's move on to the next section. So the next section here is really about it's not a talk about what's the right tool to use Agile. Now, you're probably already using these tools. I'm talking about tools like Trello, Monday, ClickUp, Notion, Jira, maybe even Post-its, or a notepad. It's not about those tools. It's about the mindset and the Agile methodology to deliver content. Okay, so it's not about the tool. So we're talking about Agile today. That's how we're planning to deliver that fantastic piece of content we all strive for. So it's Agile. So keep that in mind and be ready for it. Now, before we move on to Agile and why this helps your marketing agency, we've got to sort of discuss some of the pointers that we struggle with in our day-to-day agency. And I picked out 3 points here that are kind of concerns around marketing agencies. And the first point is quite simple: communication internally and externally. We must have a clear and effective communication across our internal and external teams. Internally with our team members, and externally when we work with third parties or whether we're working with clients. So that can be a struggle. And from what we will tell you about Agile, that can fix those problems. We also need to be able to see things happening in real time. Now, I said this wasn't about the tools, but in a sense, there is some tools that does allow us to see things happening in a real time, keep us all on board and keep us two-page. And everybody working together on the same tool. So, okay, it's not about tools, but there is a little bit of a crossover where we have to mention that. Control flow. So the conventional marketing focuses on large campaigns. Okay, so if you're doing a campaign at the minute, you usually focus on a campaign that maybe lasts for 6 months to 12 months. Now, if you have to do any quick changes there, it's sometimes a little bit late to sort of retract and to start off in a different direction. The conventional way just allows you to be stuck in one path only. So again, using Agile should help us to alleviate those problems. And with Agile, of course, we do things in small steps, in iterative ways to deliver that content. And of course, the one thing that's really hard, especially if you've got a long-term goal, if you're thinking about delivering campaigns 6 months, 12 months, is capacity planning. Capacity planning is always easier to do in those small iterative steps. So when you break things down into smaller tasks, it's kind of easier to actually point score or time score those tasks. So you kind of roughly know where the capacity is going to come from. And again, because we see things in a live way, we can spot roadblocks or blockages far more easier in Agile than not seeing a blockage if it's 6 months or 12 months ahead. So there's some of the 3 points. And of course, with the conventional way, because campaigns and projects last for such a long time, there's always that risk of, which is what we don't want to do, is a loss of time and a loss of money. Now, here's a little bit of a bonus here for you. The photo here, that's not me, that's somebody else. But if you can guess who that is, contact us at agilemarketingnetwork.com and let us know, because it might be a special surprise for you there. And it's a guest you should know. So how do we solve these issues? So there's a number of different areas where you possibly think we should be solving these issues. Again, are we using the right tools? Are we using the right, do the people have the right knowledge? Do they have the right knowledge, the teaching methods and so on to apply what they're doing to deliver content effectively? Of course, it's time. We've talked about capacity being a problem. And of course, money as well. Money is something, especially these days, we need to be careful in terms of resource, make sure we're spending money in the right effective areas. So let's stop there. Let's stop right there with the conventional marketing methods. And let's move on to something that's a little bit more different. So welcome to Agile framework and mindset, because that's what it is. If you basically adhere to the framework of Agile, the principles, the terminology, the framework and the mindset, then it's not just all about the tools. We're giving a knowledge to you as a team member and also your third parties, and onboarding your clients to use the same methodology and the mindset. It's all what we're delivering today in the course is Agile. So let's move on and talk a little bit briefly about the history of Agile and the current state of Agile today. Some people are not even aware of Agile in marketing, but if you ask most developers, like myself, I used to be an ex-developer, ex-software engineer, we're probably more familiar with Agile in terms of a project delivery method. So that's where it's actually rooted from. It's actually rooted back in the software engineering world that's now being adopted in the marketing world. Now, for me, I kind of stumbled on it by mistake, really. I moved into marketing with my partner where we started Cruise Creative Media. And it was one of those things I needed to work out in terms of delivering projects on time, efficiently, and on a cost-effective basis. How was I going to do that? Well, I knew I used Agile in software engineering, so could I apply that to marketing? I was never aware that Agile was in the marketing world. It was kind of really a bit of a coincidence. So when I started to apply it into my everyday method, then starting to research on it, I realized that Agile was already making inroads into marketing. So what are the benefits of marketing? Here's a couple of them already why you should be using it. You can, as we probably briefly mentioned before, you can change direction quickly based on feedback. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you're using a conventional marketing method, usually those campaigns are around about 6 months, 12 months long. With Agile, you're doing things in small, you're doing things in an iterative step. So whether you're turning around content delivery in a week or 2 weeks, that's actually your time box in terms of Agile. So if things are going wrong, you're very, very quite quickly within the first 2 weeks to change direction, as opposed to if you're halfway down the road at 3 months, it's very, very hard to change direction very quickly. You also get a better visibility of your project. And what I mean by that is it's a living and breathing process, whether you use a tool or whether you use something physical. And what I mean by physical, whether you're using a Post-it note to track a progress of tasks from your to-do item to what's marked as done. So to do, in progress, to done. Just remember, it's a living and breathing process, not just for yourself, but for your team and your client. Also with it, because of that, you spot roadblocks far, far easier than anything that's actually locked away in terms of a long campaign, with again being 6 months or 12 months. Believe it or not, it can also improve team spirit. Teams get much more involved and have a better ownership of tasks than you would do with a conventional campaign. You also have a better alignment to business objectives. Now, some of these are just a few of the real positives that you get out of Agile. So what are the benefits of Agile marketing? I've got 4 benefits for you. The first benefit, which we just briefly mentioned, was you can change gear quickly. 93% of Agile CMOs say they can switch gears more quickly and much more effectively. Benefit 2, visibility in projects. Again, we said this, it's a living and breathing process, depending on what type of tool you use. But it's there, it's visible. You can see traceability and actions among your team members. Here's one, Agile gets marketing campaigns into the market faster. Benefit number 3, roadblocks are identified much more sooner. More projects are completed on time following the switch to Agile marketing, say 28% of senior marketers. Benefit number 4, higher quality of work. This for me is an absolute plus in terms of our own agency. Our agency really strive on a high quality production. Without Agile, I really do believe we would struggle to deliver this point. But 93% of CMOs who employ Agile practices say their speed to market for ideas, campaigns, and products has really improved drastically. So all those benefits increase competitive advantage, efficiency, and team happiness. To implement or not to implement Agile marketing into your agency, is that even a question? So I know one of the things you're going to be thinking about now is, how do I adopt Agile into my marketing agency? What does it look like? Up until now, Agile's really been in the realm of big corporations and big companies, but how do you adopt Agile if you're a small agency, if you're a freelancer, if you're a small business, if you're a solo entrepreneur? I can promise you this from experience of ourselves is with Cruise Creative, we completely adopt Agile 100% to deliver our content. We run our business every single day, 24/7 on an Agile framework. And we're no massive corporation. We're 2 people running Agile. So how do we do it? Through our own initiative of Agile Marketing Network, we're now spreading the news that you, as a small agency, a freelancer, a solo entrepreneur, can use Agile to organize and deliver your content effectively. So any team can do this. A team of 1, a team of 2 can be Agile. So we're going to find an Agile that suits you to deliver content. There's just some slight differences out there on the marketplace, but they're all pretty much similar. You'll have heard of these buzzwords, Kanban, Scrum, or maybe even you might have heard of Scrum Ban. All of them have crossovers and subtle differences, but pretty much kind of aligned to the Agile methodology. So one of the Agile methodologies you may have heard of is what's called weekly sprints. Weekly sprints are you and your team's commitment, and that could be your own internal team members, your clients, that you adhere to on a week or a 2-week sprint. And you're basically agreeing here on a set allocation of tasks that you're going to deliver. We can only work so many hours of the day, right? Unless some of us work a little bit more, but we can only work a certain capacity. That could be 30 hours, 40 hours, and no one wants to kind of work beyond that. But let's just say each individual has a 30-hour commitment, okay? So we decide up front in our weekly sprint what task allocations we're going to be committed to deliver a piece of work. Whether it's software, I know we go back to this before, whether it's software or whether it's content, we're basically concerned about delivering something, delivering tasks. So all a weekly sprint is we're just basically time boxing a certain amount of tasks that we're committed to in delivering that piece of content. It's all about the delivery, what we're committing to. All these commitments are time boxed. And also you're giving ownership to team members, internally and externally, ownership of a particular task. Now, here's the real powerful one to get your sprints completed from start to finish. Remember, your sprint, weekly sprint or a bi-weekly sprint, you're committed to tasks. Now, this is where the living and breathing comes in, whether you're using a post-it note on a board or whether you're using a tool. But this should be a commitment that you use every single day. And it's what we call the Daily Scrum. Yes, it's nothing to do with rugby, but it's you collectively getting together with your team in a form of huddle. Hence the reason why they call it a scrum, or whether you're from an American football point of view, when you get together in that huddle and you call out the next play. That's essentially what you're doing. You're calling out what yesterday's play happened to today's play to get a commitment of delivering your tasks. So every morning you have a stand-up meeting and you ask 3 questions, or each individual will ask 3 questions. The first one will be, what did you do yesterday? What did you complete on the task that you did yesterday? What are you going to plan on doing today? And your third one is, what did you have in terms of any impediments or blockers? What was stopping you from completing a task? Or is this something that you can foresee that's going to block the overall sprint? So the next piece is what we call Kanban. Kanban is what gives us that visualization of our progress. It's the living and breathing piece, and your team collectively seeing the bigger picture. So what we have here is, in simplistic terms, let's concentrate on 3 columns or 3 swim lanes. The first column is to do, the second one in progress, and the last one is done. So we move our tasks from left to right. To do into in progress to done. With the whole game of moving everything from to do into the last column of done to complete the sprint. So you're going to be asking me, what's the difference between Kanban and Scrum? They're both roughly the same in terms of, when I gave you the picture in terms of the to do column, the in progress, and the done column. The difference being is Kanban is usually continual in terms of its delivery, whereas Scrum is more time boxed towards a sprint. So a sprint, we mentioned before, that we're committing to delivering a piece of delivery, content delivery, like a campaign. We're going to be time boxed to say 2 weeks. So just remember that Scrum is time boxed in terms of a sprint for a certain delivery time of being 2 weeks, but whereas Kanban is, really think of it as a continuous delivery. So when you move to do items to done, the to do column just gets repopulated and continues throughout its life cycle. Also remember, if you're going to be using something like a stand-up meetings, that's the only meeting that you will have with your team players to deliver content or to deliver a marketing strategy. Your only time box for this meeting is 15 minutes. And 15 minutes, you go around a round robin with your team members. 15 minutes, remember, for the whole of the total meeting. And you ask each member those 3 questions. Those 3 questions being, 1, what did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? And what are your blockers? Remember, 15 minutes, not 2 hours. Don't forget, 15 minutes a day is going to save you 2 hours of work. So here's 3 things you need to remember or take away from Agile. 1 new habit, being the Agile methodology. 3 questions, which I mentioned before. 1, what did you do yesterday? 2, what did you do today? 3, what are your roadblockers? And the third statement is, you're going to have 15 minutes to trace the traceability of your project delivery. And don't forget, these 15 minutes can save you up to 2 hours. So what do I mean about the first statement? Full planner equals empty head. Okay, so we're content creators. Okay, so we have a lot of things going on in there. Okay, we get it down on paper or we get it down onto tools. It's there, and it's all adhering to the Agile methodology. So we don't have to worry too much about it, because the Agile methodology is taking care of it. It's there, it's planned, it's either in our Kanban or it's in our Scrum. It's there. We don't need to worry about it at all. Now, my second point here is, an empty head equals space to create. Of course it does. If it's all in our tool, and it's all planned and it's all prepped and it's all being adhered to by the Agile methodology, it gives us that headspace to be that creator you want to be. So I'm a massive believer of this next statement. Agility is all about the mindset of planning, the power of the team, collective wisdom, and iteratives. So I'm a really firm believer of the Agile methodology, especially for ourselves, Cruise Creative Media. We've been in the business for just less than 2 years. From day one to where we are now, We use Agile throughout our own planning in terms of content delivery for our clients, and also for our own internal business use as well. We literally use it 100% of the time. Some of the pointers I've just mentioned to you there, I just really scratching the surface. So here you can learn more about being agile for small teams. So here you can join our community and learn more about Agile. It's super simple, but I can understand that at the minute we've just skimmed the surface of Agile. It's a very in-depth topic, but it is super easy, and it's a super easy process to adopt in your business. So make sure you join, and also please reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn. All the information's on the screen there. And thank you so much for taking your time to watch this presentation. Thank you very much.